Hall of Fame induction weekend is this weekend. We'll be live from Cooperstown on Friday, the whole show from the Plaque Gallery. We'll talk Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland with Mad Dog and Joe Madden. Mark Feinsand, Ruben Amaro are on the panel. Brutal losses, as I mentioned, for some clubs over the weekend. Mets, Yankees, Padres. The top four in payroll are still not in playoff position. The top four. We'll get into the weeds on where it goes wrong for the Padres seemingly most games. Along those lines, this is a pivotal time of the season. 2 weeks to the trade deadline, and a new dynamic is in play. Now, on this show, we think like a GM, and GMs these days are transactional. Patience is not a virtue. But if everybody thinks they need to buy, it presents a very interesting opportunity for the few teams that decide to sell. Let's do a little digging in. First of all, I know it's year 2 of the new playoff system, but it's the first year of having seen that new playoff system. And the lessons of that new system? If you can get in, you can win. It's not totally random, but the National League last year featured the 5 and 6 seed in the league championship series. Three 100-win teams got dropped in their first series last year. The Dodgers, Braves, and Mets. Teams cannot help but react to wild card teams, even ones on the road, coming in hot and rattling the division champs. The lesson from last year, just get in. So, knowing that, take a look at this. These are the teams right now. There are only 10 teams that are more than 7 games out of a playoff spot. That means you have 20 teams that think they're making a push for the playoffs or getting in the playoffs. These are the sellers, right? The prime sellers. Some of these clubs, A's, Rockies, Royals, I mean, the teams at the bottom, look, they know they're out of it. There's no conundrum here. They don't have big choices to make. They don't have big-time assets. Not that many sellers. These are all the clubs that are more than 7 games out of a playoff spot. So this creates a seller's market. The Cardinals, White Sox, Mets, Cubs. I mean, I'm not saying they all should blow it up, but somebody will have an opportunity to cash in fairly well. Let's start with St. Louis. I know it hurts, but they have 2 aging aircraft carriers. They're bulky, they're expensive, and you know what? Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, look at the numbers. They're still hitting. Here's what they're owed on their contracts. Arenado has 5 years, including this year, $144 million left. Paul Goldschmidt has 2 years, $52 million left. Both guys, though, are still crushing it. They're attractive out there. Arenado's 32, Goldschmidt's 35. The Cards have a stockpile of younger position players. I'm not saying they have to, but I'm saying there's an opportunity here to use these 2 big weapons that would get big attention out on the market. Look, you can go in small and get back small. You can go in big and get a bumper crop. This is about facing reality. The Cardinals are 13 below 500. The White Sox are 15 below 500. The time to cling to your core is over. So let's talk White Sox. This group is in year 2 of underperforming, and it's getting worse. So yes, keep Luis Robert, superstar 25. But they seem to want to cling to Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez. And I'm just saying, if I'm an opposing GM and you say those 2 guys are available, you have my full attention. Cease is not having a great year, but he showed a high ceiling last year, a 2.20 ERA. He has 2 more years of arbitration coming, 2 years before he hits the free agent market. Eloy Jimenez has yet to blossom, and he's had trouble staying on the field. He hasn't topped 90 games played since his rookie year, but he's slugging .463 in a bad year, and he's also top 20 in baseball in average exit velocity. He's only 26. He's on a contract extension. He has 4 years, $59 million left, including 2 team options. So those 2 came over in the same deal in a heist from the Cubs for Jose Quintana. You package those 2, you're getting something back very real in return. I know it hurts, but you have to give to get. Speaking of the Cubs, like the Mets and the Padres, they should be better, but they're not. They have a positive run differential, but they're also 6 games under 500. Obviously, Marcus Stroman is the pick of the litter. He's 32. He's got a sparkling 2.88 ERA. But what are the Cubs doing with Cody Bellinger? Their bet on his redemption worked, but it's probably working a bit too well. They have a mutual option, 1 year, $12.5 million. Bellinger's hitting .301. He's slugging .524. He's gone. Unless you start talking extension with this guy, he is not part of your next playoff team. Now, to save time, I'm not going into the Mets and Padres in depth. I don't think either wants to blow it up. It would be a seismic slap back after their off seasons. It might happen. Neither club has been able to go on a run. We'll talk about that, but they're a show unto themselves. But one team is not on our board that has to face facts. And yep, It's this guy. And I know it's difficult to do it in the real world. It's painful for the Angels to deal Shohei Ohtani. And to be realistic, he is a straight short-term rental. However, I'm talking about teams that are prepping to play tournament baseball. Remember that? The lessons of tournament baseball last year? And there has never been a single player that could impact a playoff series like Shohei Ohtani. In a 5-game series, he could start twice, maybe start once, close out a game, and he's currently the best hitter in the sport. There's never been anything like this. He's a tournament monster, and the sport is now about tournament baseball. All right. A lot to talk about. Ruben Amaro is here. Mark Feinstein. I don't know where we start, but you were a general manager, Ruben. How hard is it to face facts? Face this and say, we got 2 weeks to go. I got to get out this and make this happen, especially for this guy, Shohei Ohtani.
As far as I'm concerned, this is where it's you separate the men from the boys when it comes to front offices. You have to decide. There's a couple of things at stake here. You have to decide whether or not you are really a contender and what kind of club you have. Being able to evaluate your own and understanding your club and where you are and where you're headed are so important. If you do not do this well, you're done. And as far as I'm concerned, there are some teams there. We talked about them. The White you talked about, St. Louis, the Mets, Padres. They have some talent. I would move them. They are not playoff teams to me because it's 60% of the season into it, and they just have not shown us that they are contenders. And as far as other things are concerned, you got to understand the personalities of the GMs. You have to know which guy is going to be more aggressive, which guy has the pressure of having to deal with what the fan base is going to give you. There's all types of things at stake here, and I think this, like I said, separates the men from the boys.
It's hard to do, I guess, as I said, in the real world. We just saw the Angels. They're 6 back. Only the other day, they seemingly were 2 back. I thought they were close enough where they could fool themselves. What are they at a certain point, right? And I want to make that extra point, Mark, and I'll let Mark should speak at some point. I'm not letting him speak. I'm so excited. This guy impacts a playoff series so greatly. What type does it get a big haul for a rental, or do you temper that somewhat?
It does. I was speaking to an executive from another team the other day about this, and he said the thing about Ohtani is you're trading for 2 players, 2 rentals, right? You're trading for an ace starter and a cleanup hitter.
Yeah.
The best in the game. So if you think about like what Manny Machado brought back to the Dodgers when he was a rental, they got 5 players, a couple decent prospects in there. You double that at least. So you're talking probably 4 to 6 players, but you're talking maybe 2 or 3 of a team's top position or top prospects because of the impact this guy can have. You're trading for 2 all-star players in one deal with one guy.
Yep.
So, you said there were 2 out, it seems like a week ago, and now there's 6. If Trout doesn't get hurt, I think we're not having this conversation.
Right. Neto comes back
I think there's a thought of we're going to try to get to the playoffs and fulfill this destiny. Trout goes down, things change. And, the question is going to be, does Artie Moreno have it in him to trade Ohtani? He knows what Ohtani means to them on the bottom line when it comes to their business partnerships and their ticket sales and the interest in the team.
And the legacy of you traded Shohei Ohtani after you won the sweepstakes.
Correct. Yeah. But if they don't think they have a realistic chance of signing him, and I don't think they should, you have to. Baseball-wise, there is no argument against trading this guy.
Yeah. Along those lines, I want to get to this because one of the biggest questions is, how are the Padres 6 under 500? How is this happening? They have a positive run differential on paper. Ruben, you